Good day, internet world. I am David from the Brit from Britain Pino, and today I'm bringing you from Hijrah in Dhahran in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia. Hijrah has played a major part in my life for the last 10 years as I've worked on this from its construction through to its opening, and today as Senior Project Manager for Museum and Exhibit Department. I say senior, I think that's only because I'm the oldest one here, but hey, that's how it goes. So today I would like to take you inside and show you a project that we've worked on that's been really close to my heart and absorbed nearly all my time for the last 18 months to 2 years. And I want to share this with you because I think it's a very important subject, and it's a very interesting subject. So let's go inside. Here we are now inside the plaza of Hijrah, and I want to show you the Hijrah exhibition. This is the story of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his journey from Mecca to Medina. I would like to introduce you to my good friend and general all-round nice guy, Dr. Kamal Al-Mansri, who is one of the curators on this exhibition, and I'd like him to take us around and explain to you what he's all about. Please, can you just give us a quick background on yourself, please, Kamal?
Sure. My name is Kamal Al-Mansri. I'm born and raised in Thailand, Saudi Arabia. I'm working with it as a curator for travel and exhibits, and in the last 3 years been working with this man to put together this beautiful experience. Want to go check it out?
Let's go do it.
Yeah, let's go. So
okay.
we just passed let's consider the first zone of the exhibit, the introduction. We put together the video of the landscape of the Hijrah journey. Hijrah means the migration, and we're focusing on the Prophet Muhammad migration from Mecca to Medina that happened in 622. So this exhibit focuses on this story in details, specifically on the route that the Prophet took from Mecca to Medina. We constructed it through 3 principles: the cultural memory, material culture, and also the landscape. So cultural memory, a lot of people remember the story of Hijrah through some details that they learned through school or that could be transferred from generation to generation. Specifically talking about the story of the cave, the song when the Prophet arrived to Medina. That's very, very famous throughout all cultures. So here we're in the first zone of the exhibit. This is like a reconstruction of the pre-Hijrah Mecca. So we're bringing together the ideas and the stories and the incidents that made the Hijrah something necessary. But as researchers, or as people worked on the exhibit, we wanted to show people how we stitch the story together of different expertise, different academics, different artists who work together to create this exhibit. So we start at the beginning to give a voice to the first writers who mentioned the Hijrah story in their books. So we have here a beautiful selection of manuscripts for scholars and historians from the earliest who wrote about the Prophet's biography. But we have a beautiful manuscript of Ibn Hisham. This is one of the most important seerah writers in Islam. In this book, we states the locations that the Prophet took from and his journey. Here, this is a very important book that we're relying on in terms of the latest research to identify the landmarks and the locations that the Prophet went through in his journey. So this is a very lengthy research by Dr. Abdullah Al-Ghadi, who's a very well-known researcher in the area, and he specifically dedicated his time to follow in the Prophet's footsteps to identify where he traveled.
Am I right in saying that Dr. Al-Ghadi was quite influential towards the production of this exhibition?
Since we're relying on the information that he provided as new information emerged through his research, so his finding made some of the locations distinguished from what we've known previously.
Okay, I understand it. So it made the route more clear to what was known before.
What was known before. Specifically, he's quantified all the writings that stated the Hijrah route, and he walked it to see if the locations are logical, because some of the books would would mention some of the areas and some would not mention them. So he physically walked the route based on these locations, and also based on how many times the location has been mentioned by how many scholars, so how much significant is that location, and also engaging it with the situations, the names, the people that the Prophet met, and we'll see if that is logical to be in that location and he's meeting this person at this location. Okay. So when walking it, this will make it different. Another thing is that he looked into reading the maps differently. So the terminology that was used previously is different than how we use it today, specifically talking about directions and locations. So when you say when they say the bottom of, the below, they means the west side and not the south. The right would be the south, because previously they will consider the east is the major direction, because this is where the sun comes. Okay. Nowadays we look at the north as something that's significant. So when you read the maps, the historical maps, you have to shift it and make the east is the top part of it.
Okay. So Dr. Al-Ghadi actually realized that there was reading the map the wrong way. So he orientated it around to make it the right direction.
The right direction. So when the narration said he goes below of Asfan, that means he goes west. He doesn't go below, meaning south.
I understand.
And now when he gets to that mountain, when he gets to the area, he knows where to direct. And from that, the next location will be much more easier to identify.
I understand. That's interesting.
It's very interesting, and this is why we're for more than 20 years he put so many effort into this research. And that's why we highlighted it in this exhibit, and we're based it on his information and his findings.
Excellent. Dr. Mel, can you explain to me what we're looking at here, please?
So here these are some artifacts that we got from the National Museum. These are original artifacts that date back thousands of years. So we wanted to remind people of the situation in Mecca and how the Meccan leaders were using that sacred place to attract different tribes to come down there and worship their idols in that location. So they used the sacredness of the space of that location to their own benefit.
Okay.
So we're bringing here several artifacts just for the sake of education. These are not idols that were worshipped. They would be used at rituals and ceremonies, but they still have their own historical significance. We highlight the incense burners, the commodities, the camels as something that Mecca was like a trading center, where bukhur and incense was part of that place.
For me, I remember when these arrived from the National Museum, and when we unpacked them, it was just a big wow moment for me, because I'd only seen these in photographs, and to actually see these, and then to realise some, especially the two guys at the top here, these are what, 6,000 years old?
Approximately 6,000 years
Imagine
old.
6,000 years old, and what is Islam now? 1444?
Yeah, 1400.
It just it's mind blowing, and it's awesome to think that we have these and we're able to show these to the public.
This area is very rich in
it's very
it's
cool.
rooted deep in the civilization that goes back in history.
I think we'll move on because this is actually, Mecca is quite a dark area within this exhibition, so I apologise if we're not in good light, but it's meant to be very dark and moody. Yeah. And I think the sense was, am I right in saying the sense was to be dark and moody to give the feeling for the Prophet, peace be upon him, fleeing from Mecca.
So we wanted to create like a emotional transformation for the visitor when they come in, and obviously the situation in Mecca pre-Hijrah was very dark, as the Muslim faced a lot of persecution and torture and whatnot. So we wanted to create this. We want to reflect that kind of emotion as well, and make it distinct throughout the journey, the opening of the Lazarus escape and the reaching out of the last.
I mean, we really don't capture this on the GoPro or the camera, but when you're actually physically standing here, you get the feeling of the darkness. So it's really quite a powerful area.
It is, and even we're playing with the sound. Even the sound here is not pleasant.
No,
scary.
A bit foreboding.
Yeah. So we have several artworks that also display throughout the exhibit, where the artists also give their intake on the concept of Hijrah and migration. So a lot of contemporary art pieces that reflect on Hijrah.
This I think is a particularly cool one because Hind Al Ghamdi, she's one of the ladies that works with us. She works with us here in Hijrah, and she produced this really beautiful calligraphy piece, which I don't think you can really see on the GoPro because again it's dark. But
so her piece.
I will include a still of this.
Inshallah. Her piece is
amazing.
Focus on the hanging poems that were hanging in Kaaba. The Arabs were very proud of their linguistic abilities and how their poets could.
Here we have the first of a number of wall hearts. This is actually taken from the location. Am I quite correct? On the way to the Four Cave.
And Thor Cave. It's almost at the tip of the cave. It takes you 3 hours to climb that mountain until you get to the cave.
Yeah.
So the cave. This is the first location considered in the Hijrah story. The Prophet left his house and went south Mecca instead of going north, directly to Medina, because he's been persecuted and there's a bounty after his head. So he stayed in a cave south of Mecca to have them get exhausted looking for him in the north.
What I'd like to say to people watching here is the depth and dedication that Dr. Kamal and Dr. Idris Trevathan, the two curators, went in to produce this exhibition. Kamal and Idris physically went to these locations. They went to see these photographs, and they was there taking these photographs and directing these photos. And you're going to see a number of films around here in large format. These are from the actual route of the Hijrah. And Dr. Idris and Dr. Kamal both went on this route, and they filmed, and they went on the locations. And then how many thousands of hours did we edit these?
So many thousands of, because we collected aerial footage, photograph, hours of landscape and time lapses hours. We had to walk the route in order to understand the difficulty of Hijrah. Otherwise, we won't feel. We won't be able to reflect that feeling back to the visitors.
I agree with you. This is one thing I said to you a little time ago, that I think the three of us should do this just to complete this journey of this exhibition in Hijrah. As you can see, this is now from the Four Cave, looking down over Mecca.
Yeah, it's a panoramic view from south of Mecca, from the top of the cave.
This is
to give you the experience from the top of the cave.
It's really stunning. It's actually taken in time lapse through the day, so the morning goes into the afternoon goes into the evening goes into the night, which is a really cool video to watch as you see the day transition through. these videos actually caused us quite a bit of an headache from a technical point of view with the installation, but that's a different story that I will do later. As you can see, it's now going into night time, and from there we'll go into the dark.
So here we have like a sound experience of the story of the cave. This is where people, a lot of people are familiar with the cave.
Yeah.
And there is a verse that was revealed on the cave. So we have this experience here that people can generate experience.
I apologise for the darkness, but it's a cave, so we've reproduced it.
إذ يقول لصاحبه لا تحزن إن الله معنا فأنزل الله سكينته عليه وأيده بجنود له.
So, David, we're now leaving the cave. I want to just mention the date that the Prophet left his house in September 8th. To 622, and it was Thursday. I stayed in the cave 3 days, and he leave after midnight Monday, September 12th. So the narrations always say that the Prophet was born on Monday, he left Mecca on Monday, arrived to Medina on Monday, and he died on Monday.
Wow.
Last year, we lived the turn of the 14th century of the Prophet's migration, and the date coincide exactly with the same dates of his trip. And last year, Thursday, 2022 was, or the 8th of September, 2022 was Thursday, and it was exactly 1400 years of the Prophet's migration. And the coincidence was fantastic for us.
Yeah, it worked out.
I want to mention
Brilliant.
something with regard to the content of the exhibit, where we compare the regular migratory route that normally the people travel from north to south or Mecca to Medina, they would go through, and this is the Hijrah route in the red. This is content we have throughout the exhibit for each day. This is unprecedented route. Normally travelers don't go to, so they needed a guide who knows the route between the valleys and the mountains, and who will also know where the places to stop, where to have food. So they needed someone with knowledge. So they imported a guide with them to help them throughout this exhibit. And we will have the stories, the details of each location in this. And you see here, the screen. These are like the famous landmarks and the mountains that the caravan traveled through. And the idea is to have like a contemplating over these locations, being witness to the most important segment of history.
Yeah.
Through this journey, the mountains witnessed the steps that after times just doing something different.
I think that's something that a misconception that people get of this journey and Saudi Arabia in general. They just see it as a mass desert of sand.
No.
But it really isn't. And what people don't naturally get is how arduous and mountainous this journey was. It wasn't an easy trek across sand dunes, not by a long way.
It's not even walking across the line. There is so much valleys and mountains that you have to go through, and the mountains are rocky, so they're not smooth. And because of that, one of the camels got scumbled to exhaustion like in the 4th or 5th day, and they had to change it. And actually we highlight that in the exhibit. No, the landscape is very diverse in terms of the topography, and also the rocky mountains that you go through. And you've seen the cultural exhibit that we did.
And you have to bear in mind, and while he's traversing all this landscape and that, he's also being pursued. He's being chased down. So it's not just an easy. It's just not an easy walk.
It's not an easy walk, but as the fear that gets into the story, there is always a sense of belief the Prophet had. He's always said to his companion, "Don't be afraid, as God is our third." Right. So there is always this sense of belief. And this is what you learn from it, and this is the values that you get out of the Hijrah story. I want to show you, David, this time of part, and specifically.
This is beautiful.
this is a very specific style in Islamic art called Hijrah. And basically it is the portrait of the Prophet. So instead of painting the Prophet, people would write his description. And the description is mostly generated by his companions and close friends. And we have here several pieces written by Imam Ali, who was his son-in-law. And here, this specific piece, done by Nuria Garcia, is by description of Ma'bad. Ma'bad is a lady who the Prophet met on the route, and there was very nice encounter where she noticed a different personality in him and how people around him are dealing with him, and also that magical story that happened with the goat. So after he left, her husband arrived and she described it to him, and that was one of the most beautiful descriptions you could see, and very detailed, very intricate. And we had Nuria Garcia write it in the Hilya. It becomes a round circle of the Prophet's description, or the description of the Prophet. You'll find the croissant shape around the piece as a symbol of the Islamic of Islam. The four caliphate around in circles, and it would start with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I don't have a verse that describe the Prophet's physical or moral features.
Yeah, this is a piece that I think is really it's beautiful.
It's a very beautiful piece.
They're all beautiful, but this for me is a bit of a standout. As we're talking about al-Bad,
and this is like we wanted to create something majestic to host the story of Ma'bad. So the Prophet arrived in Ma'bad. She had two tents. So we created this like an art installation that also hosts a video to describe the story from Ma'bad. It was done in Morocco by the Berber woman at this mountain.
Yeah, it was hand weaved. Is it?
It's hand weaved.
Camel and goat, I believe.
Camel and goat wool. It's very, very beautiful. And the story in there, designed, or at least done by our friend Ovidio Salazar, who was the director that worked in all the movies and captured all the footage of the exhibit. So here there is almost like a slow still images of Nuria Garcia writing the description of Ma'bad, a lady depicting the character of Ma'bad, and also the location of the tent of Ma'bad. And surprisingly, we found there 3 camels and a goat in that tent. So it worked for the content for this piece, and it's designed as a triptych.
Yeah,
it's in a slow mo, so you hear the description. So this is something that was verbally transmitted, right? So we want you to use your ear more than your eyes.
I've been in here a few times where she actually blinks and it scared a few people because they thought it was a still of the lady, but in actually she moves, and a few people have been startled when she moves. It's just quite funny. Do you know what I like in here? Even though it's been erected since last July, the smell is still here from the hair that is used.
Give you the sense of nature as well. Right?
Yeah, it's really, really nice. Here we've got another important guy.
Yeah, so the second day was filled with action. So they meet Ma'bad. Bounty hunter, he's the only one who chased them and was able to get to them. Yeah, he knew there is 100 camels over the Prophet's head. So he ran after them after hearing that someone saw a silhouette of caravan, 3 people in this location, was called Wadi Kulayya, after they left the Ma'bad's tent. So he goes after them and he get to them, but there is something very special happens to protect the Prophet. When we get closer, his horse sinking too hard into the ground.
Oh, really?
And we depict that into a short film. The stunt rider Hassan Jahani helped us in recreating that scene, and something very beautiful.
I'll have a quick look. This is quite amazing. This again is another film that was commissioned by Hijrah to represent Suraka's chase.
Yeah. So Suraka, when he gets closer, his horse sinks into the ground. So we depicted that in this film.
I think this was one of the real defining moments in the journey as well.
It is one of them, yes. And also it assures you the belief, right?
Yeah. Did he also not have a problem with his hands as well? Did he?
He did, because he could not use his arrow in his hand like so.
So he could not fire upon them.
No. And he knew, because of this situation that he went through, like there's this divine protection over this person.
Yeah. I wish we had more time, but this is a really interesting video. Maybe it gets interest to come and see it if they get
Sure.
chance.
Yeah. So here we open up after the first day and the 3 nights in the cave and the chase. Now you're into an open area.
We're very much moving into a lighter area as well.
It's a lighter area. So we decided to we bring the landscape of day 2, 3, and 4, and also inform people about the vast landscape that they went through in this 8-day journey. So we decided to have the floor set as the.
We did a full map floor here showing the two routes, the trade route and the actual Hijrah route between the two cities. This is really a nice area.
Yeah, it feels like it's more open.
Yeah. Here again we have a
piece by Aisha Amjad, like a miniature the traditional map drawing, but she drew the Hijrah route with the rose flower as symbol of the Prophet, highlighting the famous stories and throughout the journey. So it's a beautiful piece.
It is nice.
Yeah.
I quite like the stones that we have over here as well, with the scriptures.
So milestones are something important in any journey of travel back then. So milestones will let you know in which area are you and how long you have to go. Something been used for ages. So here we highlight the importance of the milestones throughout the routes.
Really nice. After you, sir.
Yeah, I want to bring back the camel story. You mentioned that the terrain is difficult and whatnot.
Correct.
So we decided to take advantage of that story of the camel who stumbled and they needed to change him. So on the 5th day they arrived at a village called Al-Arj, and they switched the camel there. From here we want to highlight Al-Qaswa, which is the Prophet's camel, and it's an important character into the Hijrah story because the Prophet bought it and he rode the Qaswa to Medina, and everyone wanted to invite him to their houses there, so they would guide the camel to their houses, and the Prophet will ask them to leave it as been ordered. So the place where the Qaswa sat down, this is where the member and his Prophet nowadays. And the Qaswa has a huge presence in Islamic folklore, defending Medina, opening Mecca, and also dying after the Prophet's death of a couple of days because of sadness. So here we're highlighting the story of Al-Qaswa and the story of the camels on that day. Enjoying it?
Very much. Like I said in my introduction that I did from outside, that this has been very much our lives, yours for 3 years.
Yeah.
For me, 18 months, 2 years, it's just self-absorbed us. It did bring some trials, it brought some tribulations, but as a team I think we did really well to pull it together. It was awesome.
So there was beautiful harmony working in this exhibit, and we're sad that's
I think. I think, as we've said, as the Prophet, peace be upon him, he went on his Hijrah journey. Us doing this was our own personal Hijrah.
Of course. And always have the intention, right? Set the intention right.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of it was down to we actually had belief in what we was doing. We had the understanding and the belief and the will to want to bring this across in the best possible way.
Let's just mention something regarding these manuscripts or copies of the Quran. So we wanted to highlight the Hijrah in the Quran. The Quran mentions or examines the Hijrah as a human necessity, let's say, in so many cases. So there are several verses in the Quran that talk about migration, and also there are several verses in the Quran that was revealed in the Hijrah route. So on these copies, we commissioned an artist to write specifically the verses associated with the Hijrah or was revealed with the Hijrah.
Again, it's one of those things that I say, the GoPro does not give you a sense of exactly. It only gives you a glimpse of how beautiful these artists' works, these commissions really are. And it just gives you a snapshot of what it's really like.
So we arrived to the 8th day now. This is the last day of the journey where the Prophet arrived to Quba. So it was revealed to the Prophet the place where he would migrate to in his dream, a place of dead palm. Between lava tract, and when he arrived to Medina, he saw that scene, and he asked his companion to stop on one of the locations. Here we have a beautiful installation by Dr. Zahra Al-Ghamdi. She's a very fine artist. She created this installation of 1,700 meter of fabric. So she entangled them together to create the structure. But her work called Brotherhood, titled Brotherhood, and it's about the connection that the Prophet made between the community of Mecca and the community of Medina, and that strength and the love between these communities was very complicated. That Zahra created this meditative process to understand the complexity of that love between them, because the Ansar, the people of Medina, split their belongings with people who come in from Mecca, split their houses, split their whatever they own. So she wanted to understand that complexity of love, and she did this with like entanglement, creating a community that's rooted in a new society.
Yeah, it is nice. Dr. Zahra Al-Ghamdi is somebody that we actually collaborate with quite a lot here in Hijrah.
Yeah, she's a great Saudi artist and a very good representative also for such topic.
Okay.
This is the Quba also. So we want to take you into the dream state.
Yeah.
And passing through Al-Medina. So these are like footage of the farms that the Prophet went through, and the infrared helped us to create this dream-like state, and the mirrors will engage you into the journey somehow.
Here you get like a secret glimpse of the moon.
Yeah, you can hear now the happiness of the طلع البدر علينا song, and you can see the moon reflecting as something important factor within the song, right?
As you can see, we're also inside.
We're inside
2 times. There we get our first glimpse of Medina. I love these. What these?
So this like the talking about the
Jali screens.
Yeah. So this is the last part of the exhibit where we wanted to capture the essence of Medina, or as the essence of the Hijrah is building a new community, and the Prophet built a new community around his mosque. So the mosque was the hospital and the place where people would worship, and also the place where we'll host the week if they need someone in need. So it's represented by several pieces that were displayed inside the Hijrah Mosque, or pieces that were inspired some artists and craftsmen to create. So these are some sitaras that were hanging to Rawda, and this will cover a door.
These are original from the Rawda?
These are original from the Prophet's Mosque.
MashaAllah. We're so lucky to be able to get these intricate pieces. They're so beautiful. There's far more detail in these than we can ever show you on a camera. Very blessed to get these.
They're very beautiful, right?
Oh, beyond beautiful.
You could examine the delicacy of Islamic artists.
For me,
I work on something.
I know this is the simplest of the ones, but this is the one that I really like.
It's one of the best pieces.
Yeah. The workmanship that's gone into these is just unbelievable. As you say, these are original ones from the Rawda.
From some of them from the Rawda, like the green and the red. Some of them from around the Prophet's Mosque. Okay. And this has been used candlestick holder for the lighting in the mosque in the last, like the pre-electricity era, and that's the incense burner. Again, you can see the delicacy of the work.
Yeah, very fine work.
Very fine work.
This is really nice. One thing when we was building it, I was really pleased that we managed to actually get the carpet.
Yeah, the carpet is reflecting the same carpet that is the Rawda carpet, the Prophet's Mark, the green one.
Yeah. It's really good.
And to practice in the footstep of the Prophet, this is the topic of our exhibit. So people, when they come perform Hajj or Umrah before leaving back home, they would go to Medina for salam on the Prophet. So we reflected that with this dome here.
Yeah, this dome is.
This is one of a kind, right?
It's one of a kind, and it's really one of our popular things. I don't want to commercialise it, but it's quite a selfie attractor. When I've seen with the people,
because it puts you inside the Prophet's Mosque and gets you into locations.
There we go. It gives you a 360 perspective. We stitch this together for actual footage.
This is actually like VR footage that converted into projection.
See, I'm inside. And as the board says,